Yes, so it's it's um, it's a crucial distinction. So normally in companies or mid-market companies, they rapidly attract talent because they have a lot of challenges. Um, but they reach a certain point of mature that they start to have. I mean, they grow rapidly, but after that, they reach like a point where the chaos is creating like more chaos and also starts becoming like a big bottleneck. So the problem is not just people, because when you grow rapidly, you have a lot of people coming and you have other processes in terms of onboarding and so on. But it's also like the decision making structure. So you have a lot of people, but there's lack of ownership of the decision makers. Yes, of course. There are like a lot of symptoms that they normally or normally the companies start identifying. So the first is like slowness. They start seeing like some moments that they lack decisions, or in terms of delivery, they don't deliver on time, or the expectations are not reached in terms of delivery for certain levels of the company, on the management, or even like mid-management, or even like for the people that are working on the tasks. They in terms of like so the slowness also like creates like instability. So normally the company or the companies or these kind of companies, they deliver like certain parts of features, but those features are not even used, or they are kind of like disconnected from the market, or even like they are not stable enough to be used by the customers. So it's a bit of like a snowball, and sometimes that like it's not noticed, but if you look outside of the box, right, you have those three symptoms like slowness, instability, and disconnection between the markets, or even like maybe the existing clients are not disconnected, obviously, but for the new acquisition, there is disconnection, and that creates like obviously frustrations. Yeah, so obviously we work with people, right, in the companies, and that tension triggers like the classic game of finger pointing game, right? So the sales blame product blames engineering, and engineering blames legacy code and pressure from the product. And then management gets frustrated because they cannot execute the vision that they have, and the engineering and product, they feel overloaded and burned out, and again like it's a snowball. And that normally creates like a wall, well, not a wall, but a bubble, where they work on a daily basis, right, and so much overload and so many things to do, that they don't notice like the real problems or and how they can just solve it. Based on our experience, I mean, the majority of the issues are communication. 70% is internal communication, and sometimes like the customers that come to us and ask like, hey, we need a solution for this specific problem or this specific product, but at the end, it's not just a technical solution, right? So when we start working with new customers or even existing, we see that there's a lot of communication channels, and obviously as much as you have the team grow, the communication channels and strings that you have between the people are exponential, right? So if you have a team of 10, then you have create or establish communication lines between them, so are exponential. So it's like a 10 factorial 10, right? So it's because they need to communicate to each other, right? So one person needs to communicate to the 9 other. So that's one of the main problems. Does not mean that we are going to solve it. Obviously, we can also point that and also facilitate certain process that would automatically solve the communication problem. But the communication problem, it's also triggers other things, right? So processes regarding product, sales, engineering teams. So when you have a lot of people, right, those teams need to be organized, and those teams, or the responsibility of those teams, needs to be settled, and that's sometimes what is lacked, right? So there is there is an alignment that all the teams needs to have. What that means that, okay, so sales needs to be responsible for one specific thing, product needs to talk with sales, but also needs to filter the information to the engineering in order to engineer to be protected, I mean, to have visibility what's going on, but at the same time protecting them, this is the focus, right? So the focus is very, very important, and that if it's not well defined in terms of communication and processes, creates a dysfunction product, dysfunction software that is not aligned, and then they can just deliver, or an engineering team can deliver a certain feature that is not aligned with the product vision, plus the sales is oh, okay, but this doesn't match what I would like to have for the customers. So it's that's the one of the main, or the key points, or the key reasons for this. Well, it's a pendulum. So we had one large enterprise client that was heavy on the processes, and it took them a full year to get a new product into production, for example. And we have the other example, for example, that one big company that their business model was to grew through company acquisitions, and they had a total of chaos after a lot of, I think about 1 or 2 or 3 years, and basically they didn't have a vision from architecture for their product, and they didn't have common processes and so on. So both examples, right, they kill speed. It's trust. Trust is a tough word. And so I would say lack of capacity, because trust is on the wrong way. If you lose a trust in a team, means that the team needs to be redone, right? So and that's hard, I would say. I think what we normally see is a lack of capacity or skills. Does not mean that the people don't have the capacity to get more skills, but as they spend like a lot of time during that context, doing only that, they lose skills and capacity for innovation or to do the things differently, right? Because that was the context for a certain period of time that is long and so on. So, for example, we work we are working with a company that they have like a legacy platform with 50 years old, and does not mean that the team that they have was not smart enough. The thing is that they got like that knowledge, they do the maintenance on the platform, but and right now they have like a lack of skills internally to handle like the renovation or rebuilding of the entire platform. So they call us to rebuild it, and obviously support them to support them and help them like to get enough knowledge to carry on and to keep the maintenance of the new platform, and obviously de-risk like the problem of having like just one or two or three people only work on the legacy code, because the legacy code like creates a lot of like barrels and walls for a new technology. So they need help, basically, not judgment. So they need like skills, capacity, and we help them. Yeah. So the roadmap means direction, and that's very, very important. Does not need to be like a very detailed roadmap, but needs to have like a direction in terms like high level enough for any person inside of like any team understands where it's gonna be in the next 6 to 8 months. Another one is like technical awareness. So the product and sales and business needs to or must know the capacity. Otherwise, they will oversell the product, or even like the expectations would be like different from the or disconnected from the capacity of the teams. So that is very, very important, and basically like all the teams needs to be connected on that. So the roadmap direction in terms of like or from a business and sales, or from a business, and then like the product machine, including like product and engineering, connected with that and understand where it's going to be, but also like the awareness of the business to understand if we have the capacity or not. That's the main, I would say, key point. Teams are made by humans, and the most important principle is culture, right? So if they are not motivated, if they don't, if they are not motivated, or if they are not like engaged with the project, it's very difficult to execute. So at the end of the day, they pass more time with their working team than their family. If it's not built like a culture of humans, of people that they have like strong relationships, it is very hard to execute. That environment is very, very important. People needs to be connected with the colleagues, with the superiors, or with the management, They need, despite like all the pressure, okay, they need to understand the goals, and also they need to have like moments where it's not like just work. They need to have moments of like an environment where they can discuss about like other things and so on, and they can have fun sometimes of the daily routines. That's very, very important. I think one of the or the main goal of the culture here is to obviously comes like from communication, but also like relationships. When you create like a relationship between humans, the things happens, right? So the you have like stronger teams, you have stronger individuals, they support each other, they are on the same page or the same boat to reach the specific goal. That's why the culture is the key point here. And sometimes we see companies that they are big, they have their culture, but sometimes it's very hard to create it because we have people that they go like for 9 to 6, or you can have people that they work for 9 to 6, but it does not mean that they need to work more. The thing is that the culture in terms like values, your daily job, right? How you work, how you support your colleague, how you help them, how do you understand if he or she is not like on the right move, or even like not motivated for that day, or they have like personal issues, right? So, and that comes like to the values. The values are very, very important. Exactly. It's about ensuring your technology is an asset that scales you and scales with you, and not anchor holding you back. Yeah.